wanted to. Oh, he hit record. So hi, happy Thursday. It's April 1st. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because that means I'm 1 month closer to summer vacation. A whole new month to set goals and then go out and crush them. It was so crazy when I opened my back office this morning and I was back down to 0 Success Club points. It's freaky, but also really exciting because we have the entire month to do what we know how to do, which is help people change their lives. And so every single one of us on this call is back at square one. So 11 star diamond Chelsea, I don't know what star diamond Chris, and everybody else, we are all back at 0. Okay, all level playing field, and we all have to do the things every single day that are going to get us to Success Club and all the other successes that we want. So tonight, I feel really honored because I don't know if everybody on this call was part of the 1K Club. I think most of us were. And so for 3 months, I got to be mentored by Chelsea Farmer, and she didn't know, I think I told her, but she didn't know ahead of time that she was mentoring me from afar just by watching her on Facebook. I friended her on Facebook once I started using Pixel and Hue. And so I just kind of watched her, and then to be able to be mentored by her where I felt personally in that group was just amazing for me and my goals and my belief in myself that she breathed into us. So I'm super excited to have her talk to all of us tonight. She is an 11 star diamond coach. She had this whole bio, now I'm trying to go to not read it, but 2-time premier, 2-time elite. She's only been a coach for 2.5 years, 3 years.
It'll be 4 years in June.
4 years. Okay. I knew it wasn't very long though. And so I'm just gonna let her talk because you don't want to hear me talk. We want to hear her talk and tell her story. But my favorite things are chicken shit. Rid your chicken shit. I'm trying to remember the other saying.
Get them titties up.
Yeah. Okay. Get them titties up. There was another one though. I feel like I can't remember. But anyway, Chelsea Farmer.
Clap for yourself. Clap for yourself.
Yeah, clap for yourself.
Clap for yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. I swear, I still get so nervous right before these speaking opportunities. And it's just a great reminder that those butterfly feelings and those squirmy feelings in my stomach, like they're there for a reason, because I wholeheartedly and I'm so passionate about this. And I always want to provide as much value as possible. And so when Kelly approached me about doing this, I'm like, they've already heard me, like they know me. And she's like, no, I don't think that they've fully heard your story. So, you may have heard a couple of things that I say, you may have not, but I'm going to do a deeper dive into where I've been, how I got started into coaching, kind of the ins and outs of the seasons of life that I've experienced while coaching, and where I am now and why. So to paint a picture for you, my mom took me to Weight Watchers for the first time when I was in 6th grade. So I was always the bigger child. I wasn't necessarily like fat, but she was a heavy child. And so she was so scared that I was going to be bullied like she was. So she was very conscious of, how I felt and how I looked. And, when I started becoming more aware that I was bigger than everyone, she's like, well, let's nip this in the bud. So took me to Weight Watchers in 6th grade. So I lived that diet culture my whole life. So I went to college on a Division I softball scholarship, and same thing, gained a little bit of weight, went to Weight Watchers, was a Weight Watcher lifetime member, took some of my teammates with me. And I've always been able to gain 10 pounds here and there and, go back to old ways. And then after graduating college, I moved up here to be with my now husband, Ian. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself there. I have 2 kids, married for almost 10 years. Life is not boring. No one's on the spectrum. So anyways, moved up here with Ian, wasn't sure what I was going to do work-wise, but one thing that has kind of been a common theme in my journey is I have this mindset that everything is figureoutable. If you put your mind to it, you're going to figure it out. So told my parents, hey, I have $2,000 in my bank account. I'm moving up with Ian to Washington. Don't have a job, but I'm going to figure it out. So I decided I was going to substitute teach ended up doing that, found a job nannying, and the gal that I started nannying for, she had her own event planning business. And I'm like, this is cool. Like, can I do some stuff during nap? So was very eager to learn and just kind of see what was out there. And so became a corporate event manager and got that opportunity for her. And 7 years later, I quit. And so to paint the picture there, I was doing events for Microsoft, Dropbox, so working with big budgets, traveling a ton, eating at some well-known restaurants, like working with chefs and celebrities and parties. And like, it was just the freaking dream job, especially being so young and not having a lot of responsibility from a family perspective. And so with that came not working out, eating like shit, drinking a ton, gaining weight. And I was just, my job was my number one priority. And so after I had Nolan, I ended up losing my baby weight, but not from working out. I just changed my nutrition, and we ended up, so we had a journey getting pregnant with Nolan, 15 months it took us. And then we got pregnant with Max instantly. And I was like, my world was over. I'm like, holy shit, how am I going to do this? How am I going to travel? How am I going to manage people? Ian travels a lot for work. And it was always the plan for me to quit my job after we had our second. But then when I was forced into doing it on not my timing, I'm like, holy shit, you know? And so I remember walking out of my job. It was like a week before I had Max. And my boss then, she's still my good friend. She's like, I'm like, what if mom life isn't for me? Like, I feel like I'm made for more. And, you know, it was a whole emotional situation. And she's like, you're always welcome back here. You know that, but like, you're going to figure something out. Like, you are too ambitious and you're too much of a go-getter to not, if that's what you think you need. So had Max, was, you know, content with 2 kids, finding my feet. And then I came across my coach posting on Facebook. And she was like, I'm running these online accountability groups. We do these at-home workouts. It's completely life-changing. She posted some transformations and I slid into her DMs. So I was the person that reached out to her and I'm like, what do you have? I need it. I want it, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, it comes with shakes. And I'm like, I don't want your shakes. I don't want your shakes. So I was the nightmare customer that like didn't want the shakes. And I tell you this for a reason, because it's something we experience on the daily almost, right? If you're inviting on the regular. And she's like, no, just hear me out. So she told me about the full solutions offering. I listened. She word vomited a little bit and that was okay. And so I signed up with the challenge pack, and out the gate, my life was changed. I found a community. She ran a great challenge group. She posted every single day. Other women were engaging, and I'm like, okay. And I was the very last person to post my before photos. I had 60 pounds to lose, and I was mortified, but I'm like, wow, if these women can do it, so can I. So first and foremost, if you are not running kick-ass groups in some capacity, nothing changes if nothing changes. So even if your customers of Pixel and Hue and that content is good and the pictures look good, you know, the graphics look good, but people aren't engaging, you got to tweak something up. You got to change something up, go live. So your accountability groups, like that is the life-changing component. That's what sets us aside. So check yourself. How are your groups right now? Why are they the way they are? How are you showing up? Because just like we say about our coaches, our people are only gonna do just as half as much as we do. So out the gate, she's like, you need to be a coach. And I'm like, never. I will never be that person on social media. I don't have time. It's not for me. And she's like, okay. And I tell you this too, because don't give up on no's. Don't give up on the Chelsea farmers that said no to her coach for 5 months, because you know what? Had she said the first time after I said no, I probably wouldn't have said yes, but had she said, Chelsea, why? You know, are you fearful of what other people are going to think? Are you worried that you aren't going to be able to inspire others because you have 60 pounds to lose? If she would have gotten to a little bit more conversation with me rather than just being like, okay, I probably would have rid my chicken shit sooner, but I'll give her credit. She continued to be diligent every month, following up, inviting me to a glance group, never joined a glance group. And finally in June, I just messaged her. I'm like, I'm all in. I am ready. There's no way I can keep this from my people any longer. This has completely changed my life. I had lost 55 pounds. I was like feeling my best, better than I ever felt even in college. And I was all in. And so she's like, do you want to run a group together? And I'm like, nope. Like, I'm going to run my own group. And so I was just ready for it. So my first thing that I want you guys to write down, and as Julie Voris says, she always comes to trainings, calls with a pen and paper. Like, she's always committed to learning. So I hope you guys have somewhere to write this down, even if it's in your notes. Don't give up on no's, and don't be afraid to breathe belief into the person. If you're inviting them for the right reasons and you really think they'd make a great coach and you want them on your team, you need to tell them why and breathe belief. Don't just be generic and be like, hey, I'm hosting this class group, you should join. So be specific. So joined in June, she quit on me. She quit on me the month I signed up. And I was like, this is some bullshit, but I'm like, everything's figureoutable. And so I'm a part of Nikki Whiting's Downline. She has a pretty big powerhouse. So at that point she had like 2,800 people in her team page. And I'm like, too many people, no, thank you. I'll figure it out on my own. And so I was very resistant to what was already out there because I didn't know, and I'm looking back, I'm like, you were such an idiot. But I think that it's good now because I'm able to educate my team on how lucky, and I don't believe in luck, but how lucky they are to be a part of such a committed team who already has resources and materials that can be leveraged. There's no reason to recreate the wheel. So figured, someone said go Emerald out the gate. So that's what I did. Had 3 coaches in my downline. Ian signed up and I stayed there for 10 and a half months. And Kelly, maybe that's what you were thinking when you're like, you've only been coaching for like 2.5 or 3 years. Literally, I did not treat this like a business until March of 2018. I was so fearful what other people were going to think. I invited and I hit really high Success Club numbers out the gate. I was making, $500, $600, but that's where it stopped. And so I got to November after I had signed up. It had been 5 months and I'm like, I'm doing charity work. Like, I'm putting forth so much effort and energy to learn all of this stuff. I'm running these kick-ass groups and I'm making pennies. And I had seen these income progressions from other coaches. And I'm like, what is it that they're doing that I'm not? And I was kind of tunnel vision and I was just, trying to figure it out. And so in January, I went on a girls' trip to Palm Springs. I organized it for my challengers, and obviously they paid their way, but we did a girls' trip and it was just basically like a coach retreat. And I will tell you guys, we sat around that table and every single one gushed about how I had changed their life and how this community had changed their life. And not one time did I think she would make a great coach. She would be an awesome asset to this coach team. Not one time. So if there's one thing that you can take away there, my mindset was so off. My mindset was, oh my gosh, MLMs, like people are going to think that I'm just trying to make money now if I'm just trying to build a team, like blah, 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 blah. So I was all about slinging challenge packs. And that's why I felt when I got to that stage that I was doing charity work because I wasn't treating this like a business. I was so worried about what other people were going to think instead of saying, these women are powerful and they can accomplish what I can't. Imagine what we could do together. And so I left Palm Springs and I asked myself, and another thing that I wanted to add, in November and December of that first 6 months of coaching, I hit SC0 consciously. Like I was like, I'm done. I think this isn't for me. And so when I left Palm Springs in January, I'm like, you know what? You have the opportunity to be a good coach or you can be a great coach. And you just sat around a room with other women that are like, I don't know what I would do without this right now. Like, how could you quit on them? And so I asked myself a series of questions. I don't think I have them up, but, and it was basically like, you have choices. Like, what is stopping you and what is holding you back? Do you believe in this? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in these products and resources? Do you believe in paying it forward? Do you believe in this business? What are you sharing? Are you sharing? And I knew right then, you know what I wasn't sharing about? The coaching opportunity, what the coaching opportunity had done for my life. And so my next thing that I want you guys to note, the second thing is, do you want to be a good coach or a great coach? And I'll follow up in the chat with those questions you can ask yourself for that gut check. And number 3, talking about coaching and putting it out into the universe. You are going to attract what you speak about. And that was something that I wasn't talking about. I wasn't talking about coaching. And so finally in March of 2018, when I had 3 coaches in my downline and it was 10 and a half months in, like, it's crazy to think back, guys. That wasn't very long ago. Nikki's like, talk about coaching your stories today. It's a payday. Throw up a poll. And I was like, like getting heart palpitations. And I did. And she's taken a step back from coaching. Now I'll just be fully transparent, but she voted on my poll. And I will tell you how chicken shit I was. She clicked want info on coaching. And I was like, oh, you want to join my challenge groups? And she's like, no, I want to learn about coaching. And I was like, oh, you should probably try the workouts before. Like, you should probably make sure you believe in this before, instead of wholeheartedly leading with, I know this is for you because I fully believe in it. And once you jump in, it's going to change your life. So what you put out again is what you're going to in turn receive. And thank goodness, like, she didn't run. I still signed her up as a customer. She didn't roll over to coach till 2 weeks later. And, but I think that was the reality check I needed. Once she was ready to go, she was ready to go, and we took off. So talk about coaching and put it out into the universe, what you're trying to attract. The next big shift that happened in my business was a month later. I was able to go down to Portland for an in-person event. So your 4th thing is, I know times are weird right now, but things are looking better. Get your ass to an in-person event. Are you joining the virtual Super Saturday this coming Saturday? Are you attending our virtual summit? Are you trying to possibly meet up with others? Like, in-person events was another big game changer. So it was in Portland. Kelly, you were probably hosting. It was with Sean T. And I heard Nikki Whiting speak on stage, and it was during the recognition portion. And I'm telling you these specific examples because it's when these light bulb moments really turned on for me in my business. We're sitting there and they were going through recognition, and this gal stood up and they're like, she signed 20 coaches this last year. Mind you, I'm like 4 coaches in, halfway to diamond, and I'm like falling out of my chair. Like, how did she sign 20 coaches in the last year? And I'm like, everything's figureoutable. I'm going to do this too. And so I left that event knowing I was about to put in the work. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I was going to do it. And so I was in a car with 3 other gals, and I'm like, do you guys want to go diamond? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, are you guys going to go to summit? I'm like buying my ticket in the seat. And they're like, I'm going to meet with my husband. I need to talk with my husband. And I'm like, it's figureoutable. Like, this is important. They said we needed to be there. So I bought my ticket on the spot, and we had made we had set on a date for going diamond, and I hit it the week after, which is fine, but I had a date and the other girls didn't hit it. And I think it just goes to show, like, speaking your truth out into the universe and being serious about what you're going to do and knowing that you're going to figure it out. That's a lot of the work itself. So that in-person event is one of the biggest game changers for me, because I was in a room with other women who had similar goals as me, who were emeralds like me, who, are just so green to the possibilities, but also things are so far-fetched at the same time that I just knew, why not me? I heard Nikki talk about it on stage. I knew she had gotten one of the big limitations that I had on myself too was, like, I was really late to the game. Like, oh, you don't, like, you're really late to this. You're probably not going to make a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And But I trusted Nikki, and I had gotten to know her through her team page. And so when she stood on that stage and she was breathing that belief in me, I'm like, I have to make this happen, you know? And I had also made a goal for her to know my name at Summit. And I told the girls that in my car, and one was like, that's stupid. And I was like, it is. And I was like, no, because if she knows my name at Summit, it means I'm doing what I'm supposed to in my business, because I'm up on our leaderboards, and like, I need some things to keep me accountable. So here I was, my wheels were spinning, like trying to create this accountability for myself. And so I went 1 star at Summit, got Ian's account to Diamond. Lisa, she went Diamond. So we went 2 star, and I think it was like October, qualified for NLC. And so got to NLC. Next big thing that changed my business. If you don't know how to get to NLC, you need to be 1 star. And I will tell you, that's the first time I really felt like I belonged here, that I had a seat at the table, that like my vision was becoming crystal clear. And so if that's not something that is on your vision board, or you've even thought about, look up the FAQ, write it down. Get to NLC, we do this tour of headquarters, and I get a call from Seattle Children's Autism as I'm walking off the bus. So I answered it, and they're like, hey, we've been on the wait list for 9 months at this point for my oldest son. And they're like, hey, can you come in on Monday? That was in 2 days. And I'm like, this was already a fight between Ian and I. Like, we weren't sure if we wanted to go get a diagnosis, et cetera. And so I was like, I can't let this ruin my weekend. Like, I can't allow this to consume me. And so I was able to just say, yep, I'll be there Monday, and turn it off. And I fully immersed myself in the event. Someone said, I attended NLC last year, and I attended leadership in the same year. It's possible. And I was like, okay, like, I'll do that. And, was leaving with a fire in my belly, but not like Chelsea Farmer fire in her belly, because I had this appointment for Nolan. And so instead of coming back and telling my team all these things and giving them all these tips, I couldn't do it. And that was okay, because I have always stayed and been truly authentic to who I am, what's going on in my life, and sharing that with my team, with my challengers, with my social media following. And don't get it twisted. That doesn't mean I read every word of my book, every chapter of my book, but I'm very open. And so at this point, we were going for the MM100 test group, and you had to hit crazy high Success Club numbers. And so I had spoken my truth. I'm going to get in here, changed my mind. I'm like, I can't do this. After we got Nolan's diagnosis, it was a mess. Turned my world upside down. I like laid on the couch for a week. And I was like, my goals have changed, guys. I'm not going to push for this group anymore. I was at SC12. And I processed my feelings, kept showing up on social media, but toned down a little bit, and woke up 6 days before the month was over. And I told Ian, and he knew I was going for this group and how important it was for me. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And so I had 6 days left in the month, and all of the hard work and consistency, that's a word you guys hear all the time, right? Like, that is the secret sauce. All of the showing up on the daily, on the hard days when I didn't want to, all of the working out on those days and showing that from, way back when up until that point, that set me up for success for those next 6 days. And so I went from SC12 to SC60, and I earned my spot in the test group. And again, I say that because had I not shown up before, that would not have been possible. But I had a customer base, I had credibility, like so much. And so it happened. And then on day 87, my mom died. And it rocked my world. And so one of the key themes that when I tell my story is, I fully believe in being the hero of your business. Like, no matter what life throws at you, you have the ability to be the hero. And so mom died unexpectedly. And I know you guys have kind of heard that story, but my vision became so much more crystal clear. And God forbid it takes you a life-changing experience like that to really change the game for you. But I sat at her funeral, and writing her obituary was one of the hardest yet rewarding things I've ever done. I sat at her funeral and listened to complete strangers talk about the wonderful woman she was, say the things that I thought about her. That bitch claimed to hate people, but there was like 400 people at her funeral. She was in law enforcement. Chris, I don't know if I've told you that. So they did like the shooting and the flag, and it was just amazing. And I left California because that's where she lived, and I didn't get to tell her bye before she passed. I didn't make it home. And I just thought to myself, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with this business that has so much potential for you to leave behind an impact? Like, it's not even about the points. It's not even about, getting into test groups. It's truly like, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? And so, my why, it just evolved and became crystal clear. And I think that that's one of the things that probably a lot of you heard me talk about in the 1K club. Like, if there is not emotion tied to your why, and you are not recognizing and evolving with your why, you're going to become a part of this vicious cycle, and you're going to, be on it for a month and then be off it for 2 months or a week or 2 weeks. And that's not fun. That's not fun at all. And so I think now where I am in my business, autism doesn't go away when Nolan hits 18. And I'm very fortunate. Ian has a very good job. We have Pixel and Hugh. Like, we live a very comfortable life, but I don't know what's going to come about, right? And while before it was the money aspect that kind of held me back from really wanting to grow this business because of what other people were going to think, that fuels me now. And I've shared this with Chris, like my true deep whys, and just knowing the opportunity I have to pay it forward, to literally change a life while putting money in my bank so that when Nolan gets 18, if he needs to go live at an assisted living home, money isn't a factor. Like, that's not even a question. We can just do what we need to do. So when my why and vision became crystal clear, really after my mom passed, I feel like while I was successful up into that point, another thing that really changed is I started telling people why they needed to join me instead of asking them. So kind of going back to what I said at the beginning of the call, when you're asking people to join you for coaching, like, you can't just ask, you have to tell them why. So yes, those are my 6 tips and things that have just happened along the lines of my business and things changing. I will also say another tip that I have for you guys is, and I told this to someone today in a one-on-one, when it comes to showing up and leading by example and being consistent, it's not just in a team page. It's not just in your challenge group. It's on social media. It's how you carry yourself and your presence every single day. Like, even when you don't feel like people see you, people are paying attention. So just be very mindful. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect in order to help and inspire. It just means you need to be yourself, because that is who you want to attract and what you want to be. So yeah, that's kind of my story in a nutshell. That first year when I was chicken shit with 3 coaches for 10.5 months, that 2018, we went premier. 2019 and 2020, we were an elite team. And I just feel very, not obligated, but I just feel like I need to share with you guys because it's a part of the business. Kelly introduced me as an 11-star coach. We were in qual and we dropped it. And that's a part of this business. And I know that Chris really, really praised us for being able to link arms and push through and get shit done, but it's a part of the business too. So we aren't an 11-star qual, and that's fine. And I'm not like, oh my God, I quit. Like, I can't put my goals on other people. And I think that that's something that you guys should take note of too. Say your goals out loud, and those that don't want to come along with you, that's their bad. We've recently had a coach that went on Instagram and was like, I don't believe in putting more work on other busy moms' plates. Beachbody is just too much work. So I'm just going to host this online accountability group. I'm like, So you're going to do charity work and not be a Beachbody coach because you didn't have what it takes. You weren't cut out for the hard work. So you're making excuses. So, and I know Chris talks a lot about that too. Like, you're either going to do it or you're not. And one thing that humble with a hint of Kanye, I believe in that. One thing that I really pride myself on too is like, I don't have a problem speaking to the coaches on my team and saying, are you in this or you're not? Because if you're not, that's fine. We're still going to hit our goals because I'm committed to growth monthly. Like I'm not putting my eggs all in one basket. Like there are so many people out there that I know that I haven't even met that belong on my team that will make us a 15-star team that will, and maybe it's not going to happen on my clock, my timeline, but I know it's going to happen because at the end of the day, success in this business really boils down to your mindset and why through and through. Get over your damn self if you haven't read it. Chapter 2. Habits and action every single day. If you don't invite today, invite tomorrow. Like you have to do those habits and take action. And then consistency and reliability. If you are not showing up, are you reliable? Would you want to sign up with you right now as a coach? Like give yourself that gut check and it'll go pretty far. That's what I have.
Awesome. So I think Kelly maybe is driving or something. I saw.
I'm driving.
What?
I'm driving
No,
in my new car. I shouldn't be.
I know. I think that you get arrested up there in the People's Republic of Washington for that kind of stuff. So my notes, don't give up on no's, breathe belief into your people. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about what other people are going to say. I know you guys have heard me say that. Don't say no for other people. I learned that lesson myself the hard way. And I'm sure I've talked to y'all about that too. Excuse me. Talk about coaching. We've talked about that too, as far as, if you've got a bunch of people that are jumping in your groups and they're getting really great fitness results, but you're not signing any coaches, it's because nobody knows you're earning money and you're building a business. Go to events. Hopefully that'll happen someday soon. Yeah. Set your goals and speak them out into the universe and let other people know. But you have to tell but your goals are yours. You can't push other people to do them. So we just finished up March. I'll put a little bit of personal spin on that. We just finished up in March and I don't think that my elite points are going to be where I wanted them to be because I because I didn't sign enough people or the right people that were going to make Success Club last month. And so it's not their fault, right? It's not their responsibility to help me reach my goal, them reaching their goal helps me on mine. But if it's not important to them, then, it's certainly not going to be important enough to me. So that's me. That means that I've got to find workers. I've got to find people who are serious about the business and going to make Success Club. And then to tell people to join you and why they should, just be firm in your deal. Like you've heard me say too, I really believe, and I'm sure that Chelsea, said it in a couple of different ways, but when I'm talking to people about the business or the workouts, I'm doing them a favor. I 100% believe that I'm doing them a favor. And, and then again, it's up to them whether or not they're going to do anything with it. So that's my notes. That's what I've got. I'm going to mute myself, or do you have anything to add to that, Chelsea, or put on?
On the note about I started telling people why they should join me versus just asking. I also shifted my mindset from making it about me to making it about them. So kind of like what Chris said. So if you are still squirming about people telling you no, or being worried about offending them, or you're being selfish because you're making it about you, and that's not what this business is about.
Right. Yep. Perfect. Okay. Christina's not on the call, but I'm not going to say any other questions 4 times. I'm going to mute myself.
I have a closing. If you guys don't have any other questions, I'm here for it if you want. Yeah, Kim.
I heard you say that you tell people why they should join your coaching team. Do you use that same approach about challengers?
Oh, for sure. I don't always sign someone up as a coach out the gate. I don't. That's just how I've always ran my business, and some people agree with it, some may not. But I have been doing this long enough now, and I show up. What, babe? I'm on a call, baby. Okay, go get daddy, okay? When he talks, I have to let him talk, guys. We've waited for this for 5 years. I show up, I talk about coaching, I talk about my workouts, I talk about, you know, my life. But when I do my invites, I do a plain out, like, why haven't you joined us yet? And then I get into the conversation of, you know, they're like, joined what? You know, it depends what I'm promoting that week in terms of, like, if I'm showing my monthly stories for my accountability group. So I go with a general invite, and then I see where it's going to take me. Some of the people I don't even know, others I'm like, you are so chicken shit and you would be making so much money by now had you just joined me when I invited you the first time. So it just also depends on who the person is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't believe in like copy and pasting scripts. Like, it just doesn't work for me either. Sometimes it could, but what else?
Hey, I have kind of a silly question because anyways, poor Chris has gotten on to me about, you know, show up, and he's right. But as I'm working through it, for your challenge groups, like your personal challenge groups for people that you've signed up, what kind of stuff do you post on there daily? Like the very basics of, like, I worked out and this.
I sit down and I write out my month and I work my ass off doing so, because I know if I am not committed to changing their life, like if I'm not giving them life-changing content in some capacity, if I'm not giving them something to keep them accountable, to keep myself accountable, engaged, like, what am I doing? So I theme my months. So I start with a theme of the month, and then I take the days of the week and I theme the days of the week. So like Motivation Monday, Tasty Tuesday will always be about something food wise, Workout Wednesday. And it's like, okay, what are the 5 things you did today for your journey? That sort of thing. Thursday, Truth Talk Thursday, Social Saturday. So it's like, oh, what are 3 things about you that someone wouldn't know? So it's not always just about fitness and eating. It's about real life stuff too. I'm going to be running a 7-day spring cleaning group that has nothing to do with working out and eating. So I think when it comes to challenge groups, if you aren't having fun and the content isn't speaking to you as the host, how is it even reaching your people? And you need to post something every single day, even if it's an inspirational quote. Go live. And from the groups that we've ran in, like Chris, your go lives don't have to be like long and super thought out. Like, it could be something that you read in your personal development. That's how I get a lot of my go live topics. So if you're not doing personal development and you're having a hard time with your challenge groups, go back to personal development. I always appreciated your walk to the mailbox chat. I always tuned in. I was like, hey.
Every time I make a go live, I'm walking somewhere in the house.
Yeah. Oh.
And
is that helpful?
Can I, this is not,
Sorry.
I was going to say, this is kind of a shameless plug. Can you guys hear me? I don't know. But can you hear Chelsea? Or no?
Uh-oh, you're kind of cutting out. Is your shameless plug pixeling you?
That's a shameless plug for sure.
Well,
and it is
because what I'm going to say, the reason why is it not? Sorry, I'll stop talking.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can? Because what I'm going to say is your challenge group has to be rocket. And I had such a hard time coming up with content every single day, especially if you're running it on your own. I don't run my challenges on my own anymore. I have so much help. But I wanted to give my energy to the other things, like one-on-one for people. And so if you can outsource anything that you don't like doing, you should. So you can put your energies. We only have so much time in a day and so much energy. And so I love, being able to buy my content that is ridiculous content, so I can focus my energies in other areas that I shine more at. So that's why it doesn't have to be Pixel and Hue. There's Mompreneur, but if you want to outsource the things that you don't maybe enjoy or don't feel like you're as strong in it, and then get somebody else to do it,
Yeah, do it with someone else. Split the cost. Like before Pixel and Hue, Megan and I would purchase the guides. But you know what happened? We ended up reading through them, and I would change all the content and then she would change the graphics. And I think that's another thing. Like if you buy stuff, you need to actually read it too and like tweak a little bit. And if it's not fully you, like Chris, he was like, oh yeah, you're the Pixel and Hue girl. You always say DEF period instead of definitely. I've changed that now, just so you know.
Most def.
Yeah. Anything else? So I just have a quick closing. Be authentically you without a worry in the world. What you put out into the world is who you're going to attract. And those who can't get down on your positivity are not your people. Reminder, you can have all the wants, motivation, accountability in the world, but this takes commitment, getting uncomfortable, grit, pushing through the shit, aka the hard days and limiting beliefs, life's accessories. It may not get easier, but you get stronger, you gain confidence, and the sense of proudness you'll begin to feel. It's really hard to describe. Here's to better habits, positive thinking, clean eating and ridding our chicken shit, and most of all, loving ourselves. Repeated actions you do over and over create the change. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Your only limit is you. You have choices. You can give in, give up, or give it all you got. What's it going to be?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.